Welcome back to Jam and Merry Holidays. Today we're going to talk about Christmas and everything involved around that. My name's Jason. I'm here with Adrian. I'm here with Mandy. And here we go. Who's starting first? Adrian?
I'll segue us in. So it is almost the holidays, or, well, for us it's almost the holidays. You'll be listening on the holidays. You're welcome. The magic of editing. When I think about Christmas, I like to think about the holiday discourse is the first thing that comes to mind. The whole happy holidays versus Merry Christmas. Yes.
I think it's just a personal preference.
I do.
Oh, except for
whatever started that divide.
the year that Christians decided they were being attacked because people stopped saying Merry Christmas and started saying Happy Holidays.
No, I think it was when like maybe Obama got into office and he started saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, because I think that other presidents before then said Merry Christmas.
I don't know when it started.
I don't know.
That'd be an interesting topic to see which president said which words. And
That would be fun.
Transfer start over, right?
Yeah, but I know it started, like, the whole discourse is because Christians think you're trying to take the Christ out of Christmas, and they are very mistaken because Christ was never the point of Christmas if we look back long, long ago when they took that holiday from the pagans.
Let's not bring reality and truth into this.
So Attack on Christmas starts the Merry Christmas versus Happy Holiday discourse, despite the fact that not everyone in America is a Christian, but also God fucking forbid that too, right?
Right. Are we not ran by Christians?
Technically, yes.
I thought this country was founded on Christian values, even though you're supposed to keep them separate.
Well, I mean, I think so, because back in the day, whenever the country first got established, Christianity was really big.
I don't think it was it?
No,
Yeah, it was.
It was. And the separation of church and state was not separating church and state. It was to give you the choice to choose which Christianity you wanted to serve.
Yeah, because, see, a lot of people came to the Americas because they were trying to escape England for religious freedom, because if you were in England...
Because of religious taxes.
Right, well, that too. But if you were in England and you were, say, a Christian, and you walked up to a group of people come up to you and they were Baptist and they started talking and you slipped up and said you were a Christian, then they would, kill you. And then, it was...
Yeah,
whole big
it
deal.
was definitely
like Quakers and Christians and all those, different denominations. So we would literally get attacked and killed for being the wrong denomination.
Really? Well, yeah, no, I believe it, because I remember they fled because they were practicing the wrong type of Christianity there.
So it just really depended on when, because there was a lot of religions that were in hiding because, you had to be whatever religion
the government said so
king,
at the time.
The king was a part of.
Yep.
And so a lot of people came over for that. And so when they set that up, it was, religious freedom.
Kind of set it up under the guise that they assumed everyone was just going to default to Christian anyways.
Well, it was a lot stricter back then too, because you literally could not work on Sundays. If you were caught working on Sundays, like, you would be charged.
Shame on you.
Couldn't work on Sundays. So it started getting lax, later on, but whenever they first started, doing whatever over here, it was, you had your certain days where you had to do certain things because, Sundays were
the Lord's Day.
Yeah. So.
Right. And you have some of the founding fathers like Jefferson, Franklin, and Washington that had dualist, deist sentiments. So they were more into research and stuff like that. And then it's really... a lot of the founding fathers were Protestants.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting.
That's scary.
and they founded on Protestant principles, specifically emphasizing in Calvinistic heritages.
I don't know what that fucking word means.
It's a major branch of Protestantism that follows theological traditions.
So Protestantism even has its own
Christians.
separate branches.
Yes,
Oh
there's
my fucking God.
there's just a bunch of different
Well, and,
Christian sections?
religions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Religions. Because Methodist is a branch of Catholicism.
Catholicism.
Yeah, Catholicism. It is. They don't
Mhm.
go as deep into the Catholic religion. They're kind of, their own little thing. So they started their own little denomination. And I call it denomination because they're different groups. It's not a different religion. They still,
It's
God,
the same
Jesus,
religion,
and all that.
different rules.
Yeah, and so,
pretty much.
but and then you have Mormonism that's branched off of whatever it is, but what?
Mormonism. I want me some special.
Oh my God. Which one of you didn't think the Mormon underwear was a thing?
No, I knew the Mormon underwear was a thing. It had
No.
special. Yep.
I knew it
'cause
was.
My friend. Now, I didn't think that it was public knowledge where you can just go buy it.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yes.
kept within their little special pyramid thing. or
A
whatever
single
they did.
Mormon got out, was like, this is the underwear they wear, and then made an entire porn production out of it. So
That's what you showed us. But that's beside the point. There's the whole, I don't know, finding the Cracker Jack toy, only I can see it. And
But what makes that more crazy than, say, Catholic or basically Christianity? I mean,
well, no, true. And then if you delve into the research and then you find there were multiple religions, quote unquote, before Christianity happened that are written the exact same time frame.
that is Joseph Atwell's argument in his entire thesis with the Caesar's Messiah. So I downloaded this book. I also watched the small documentary from it. I could not follow it because it's a lot of history. I am not a history buff. But if you like Bible conspiracy theories, feel free to go look this up. And his major point was comparing Jesus to other religious figures and things that happened 40 years later from Jesus, and he connects this with Titus somehow. It's fucking wild. It is a conspiracy theory. Not all conspiracy theories are wrong or false. There are some conspiracy theories that have happened that we've proven true. So
Well, right.
this one's up in the air because
Because even with that, because I've delved into the whole five, I believe it is 5 other religions that were previous to Christianity that follow the same thing. A woman that is virgin gets pregnant, is still virgin, has child all of a sudden goes up to adulthood, gets executed, comes back to life.
it's a common thesis.
Yeah, the whole idea
so
of that.
what if they're taking and just revamping the story?
Well, sure. So, I guess this book, Caesar's Messiah, kind of delves into how the play is that people or this person that wrote it is learning that Caesar invented Christianity to pacify rebellious populations that are in order to believe it and kind of sheep them, kind of pacify
Control
them into control, right?
And just so we have a textbook definition of Christianity. So when we take Christianity when referring to these things, we mean Christianity, as you know, started out as Judaism. And then once Jesus was born and then lived and then was executed, that is when Judaism segued into Christianity. So,
well, right, because Judaism doesn't believe that we've had the Messiah.
yeah.
They're still waiting.
And I am very partial to that belief because there's really not a lot, if any, historical documentary or context to say that Jesus was a real person to begin with.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's not any that really say he's not.
I don't think lack of evidence is an argument for something.
Okay, well then, in some cases it is though. So why is one case different than the other? Because my deal is, how are you going to come up, make this, religion or whatever to pacify your people who are, being rebellious, and then turn around and kill them, crucify them?
She asked me this earlier, and I said to get people in a state of fear. Like, if this Son of God can be literally killed by the Roman Empire, then what else can happen?
Right. Their power is unlimited. Even a son of God, can't
But then
stop
to
us.
write it to where he gets resurrected and comes back, like he doesn't even stay dead.
So then where did he go after he resurrected?
Shit, I don't know that story well enough.
So he died, and they put him in the tomb thing. And then when they came back in, the body and everything was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought somebody stole the body or whatever. And then 3 days later, or whatever it was, he comes back in spirit form. Don't know where the body went. They say there are documentaries showing the veil of Christ.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really twisted for me, because I remember being taught in Sunday school that the door was open, his casket was gone, but if he's coming back as a spirit, his body doesn't need to be gone.
Well, right.
So what's happening?
I don't know what happens with, just like with his childhood, the body just kind of, nobody mentions it.
Or they just leave that alone. And even in this picture, it shows Jesus floating and like the casket's open.
Yeah, but he's there.
But is he not alive?
Fine.
Is he just
because the whole point of it, he had to die to create a path to heaven, because there was no path to heaven before him.
I mean, it does fit into Joseph Atwell's theory, because him coming back to say it's okay would pacify the people that were like, whoa, what the fuck? You just killed Jesus.
Well, I mean, but he was more coming back for his mother and his brother and Mary Magdalene. Which that's a whole nother story with Miss Mary Magdalene, but
Sure.
But yeah. So I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to be like an expert or whatever. I mean, I just know that he came back and said, hey dudes, you can now get to heaven, and left and went up to be with his dad.
Now,
But
what would have made that cooler is if you got to heaven through a old telephone booth that you had to shut, and then the electricity goes around and you take the phone and put it to your ear and it shoots you up to heaven. So that would have been pretty cool.
What reference are you making?
oh my God, is that Bill and Ted?
That is good.
God damn it.
Then that would have been cool. And I probably would believe it at that point.
God.
Well, no, I mean, it's just you read it and you take what you need and want from it.
You're supposed
that's
to.
the book.
You're supposed to.
You're not supposed to read it and delve into it and try and figure everything out.
People let preachers preach to them and tell them what they should be believing.
Right.
And that is a big problem.
Right. I 100% agree with that. I think now if your preacher is saying, okay, I'm going to read this passage and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, and then you take then you got a good preacher. I have met some preachers that are like that, and they're awesome. But you do have because I think that's what I have a problem with the Catholic Church is there are so many freaking rules and all of, like
Except
if you can't get a divorce, it's very frowned upon. And like, don't you have to apply for a divorce or something?
The one thing I did learn from Catholicism is that, I mean, when you really, really read into it, at the end of the day, you can do literally whatever the fuck you want as long as you do your Hail Marys, you'll still get into heaven, so...
Yeah, see, and I don't...
It's like, that's wrong.
I just have my own reasons for, Catholicism is just a Catholicism. I can't say that word. It's just, my own issues, I guess, with it. Being brought up.
Are you hot? Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Back on topic. Being brought up, Baptist and Southern Baptist, all that, it's just, I kind of, yes, we have, every denomination has their set of rules and all of that, but basically, Baptists don't dance.
What?
And then
that's a real thing?
Yeah, you don't do the music. Like, they're not...
they don't do the choir in the...
No, you do your little hymn things in the morning, but you don't, like, music...
It's not a Protestant
instrumental,
church.
So you're just talking about in church. Like, I'm not going to go to the club, and they're going to be just kind of standing there. Oh, I can't...
You're not allowed to dance.
If they're not going to be at the club if they're, that into the religion and
why would they not
all
be
that.
at the club?
Because they don't go out and party. If you're that religious.
God partied.
No wonder so many Baptists are sad.
God partied. That motherfucker turned water to wine.
He was having a blast.
At the Last Supper, he was drunk as fuck. Look at the picture.
Okay.
People are all looking all funky sideways.
You need to stop watching Dogma. Which I love that movie.
My God.
You need to stop.
My Jesus has thumbs up.
So yours is okay. But still, seriously, but that's certain religions have their certain deals.
Seriously, what are you talking about?
Look at Baptists then. I don't know what to tell you. They don't do that. They don't practice in the dancing.
Don't look
and
at
moving
Baptists.
And stuff.
They're awfully boring.
No, they really are. So
even the Amish go to clubs.
no, they don't.
Do they really?
No, they don't.
I don't believe you.
They are the Amish. After you turn of age, you get to spend a year outside of the community and do whatever you want, and you don't get judged.
Cocaine
at the end of the year,
and hookers and clubbing.
At the end of the year, you decide if you want to go back to the Amish way of living and live that way forever, or be disowned by your family and Amish community, and you stay out in the
That's
the
why
world.
that population is dying out. Fantastic.
But talk about an old school, because they are a lot of Protestant, aren't they? Amish people?
Kinda, sorta, maybe, possibly. I'm not really 100% sure. Would be something to look up.
Okay, so anyways, you have your different denominations doing their different rules and stuff like that, and one of mine is I was told whenever I was going to church, you couldn't wear sandals.
Why?
And like flip flops or whatever.
Yeah, but why?
Because that wasn't.
Didn't Jesus wear flip flops?
That was the way dress code thing that, dress modest and all that. But my whole argument, because I told my mom, I'm wearing sandals because Jesus literally wore sandals. I don't understand how that plays into that, but okay. So, Adrian.
So to answer your why, it's because a bunch of cishet white dudes took the church and decided we're going to use this as a tool to fucking control a bunch of people to do whatever the fuck we want them to do because I'm the priest, it's my church, women act how I want them to. And that's...
You're not wrong.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so that's my issue. They start focusing more on controlling the people in the church and not about preaching
It's
the
not
word.
about being
And
spiritual
you-
anymore.
Right, and you lost me at that.
Right.
So
I mean, that makes sense. I can see that.
So just get these notes out of my face. I'm gonna finish out with Joseph Atwill's stuff. So in quotes, he says that Jesus Christ was invented as a system of mind control to enslave the poor. He says so Caesar's Messiah is the Roman conspiracy to invent Jesus, and it asserts that Christianity did not begin as a religion, but was actually a sophisticated government propaganda exercise used to pacify the subject of the Roman Empire. Instead of inspiring warfare, this Messiah urged turn the other cheek pacifism and encouraged Jews to give unto Caesar and pay their taxes to Rome.
because by worshiping that god, they're in fact actually worshiping Caesar.
And they were really good at being able to highlight anyone in positions of government as a segue to speak to God himself. And that is why, I think that's why churches blew up so big, because government and church started holding hands and was like...
Speaking of government, Jason?
That's very true. So, like, in the last 100 years, the greatest destroyer of human life has not been famine or plagues, but governments, which claim to be working in the people's interests.
But they twist it and they say, a lot of wars are because of religion. I don't think it's because of religion. I think it's because of the government and politics in play using that to get people to fight based on their beliefs.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to twist it.
I can see that. So it doesn't matter whom we elect or what form of political structure that we try, the results are always the same. There's always financial insecurity for the masses, boundless wealth for a select few, endless wars that the poor people are fighting, ever-increasing military and surveillance technologies that the government must spend money on.
How do we as a society stop that cycle of bullshittery of letting rich, wealthy people play chess with human lives?
You almost don't.
You have to get career politicians out and get people that work 9-to-5 jobs, are working class, back in. This country started out with candidates that did work. They came from working the farms. They came from working in stores. They came from working class families. And it's just taken off to where their kids grew up in privileged life and they didn't want to have to work. So what do? They take over. Okay, well, I'm so-and-so's son. I should be, elected because, he was my father. And then just based on name alone, they get elected. And so you have someone who is distant from the working class now in control of working class people.
Well, feudalism has been around for forever. And I think that the way we run our country right now is very, unfortunately, similar to feudalism back then.
I think that we should be allowed to vote on laws.
I agree.
Like we do with local elections.
They're never going to let it happen.
No, they're not, because they lose control.
Most government forms were designed to keep the power in the same group of hands so that they can always control what happens.
Right.
And I think the founding fathers were doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
From the start.
Yeah, because you can't say they weren't. You really can't. You had the top 4, 5, 6, 10 people of the war, the generals or whatever, drawing this up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know. It just, you're not going to be able to beat the system.
No, you're not. So the United States appears to be a democracy, and it's not. And I'll give, I don't know the word, but it's a technique that's used. So we choose from the political candidates of a tiny group of people that somehow emerge from a selection process that's run exclusively by the media. All of the town halls, all of the political debates, they're all run by the media. All of the questions that are going to be asked and everything, even by the quote-unquote people that are in the audience are asking them, are pre-screened.
Exactly. That's what I was fixing to say. If you as an audience member tell them that you're going to ask a certain question, you ask a different question, you are going to get thrown out, and
they will cut you off.
Exactly.
Even local town halls, you either have to submit what you're going to say before you're allowed to get up there to say it, or they, at any point, the judge is allowed to, you have to leave.
Yeah,
right.
It's a big act. It's a big theater.
Well, my whole deal is, everyone thinks that this is a free country and you can do whatever you want to a certain extent. But to leave the country, you have to have a passport. The government issues you the passport. They literally can tell you, no, you cannot get a passport. Mm-hmm. They are controlling you.
Mm-hmm. And then you look at our current rulers, as I'll call them. They own the media. They control the ideas, personalities that the population has access to. They shape the minds of the people, and they limit their choices to who can be in the government.
On that note, do you know how hard it is, without having the exact name of the book or movie, how hard it is to find conspiracy theories on the Bible? It's really fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, I wonder why.
Oh yeah. I don't wonder why.
Well, but it is. It's between the officials. Because even in England in Parliament, they're officials. It's officials. So I'll just call them officials, elected officials. And the church, even though they want to say church is not part of the state, they still are jointly connected because as long as they work together, they can control the mass.
Oh, sure.
God.
You can only have everlasting power if you control both sides of the political dialect. And that's what they have right now. So the sheeps in America, who is everyone that is under the 1%, mm-hmm. is all of us, are given the freedom to choose whichever pawn of the military industry complex they wish. But it doesn't matter if you have chosen Biden or if you have chosen Trump.
No.
The government will continue to roll on and do what they have always done.
Mm-hmm.
There's more working under the surface.
Yeah. There's more than that one face.
Exactly.
And it will never change. They will never give up power. We will never vote them into some kind of term limits.
So we have to take it.
Sure.
Viva la revolution.
Well, my whole deal is everyone's talking about, civil revolution, civil war, all that based on this. But my question is, what are you, okay, so you're talking about the Civil War thing that's supposedly going to happen or end up happening if stuff don't change or whatever. What is it about? What is your Civil War about? I know what France's Civil War was about. I know what English Civil War is about. I know what other countries' Civil Wars were about. I know what our Civil War was about. They all were legitimate reasons to have civil wars. What is your reason to have a civil war right now? Is it because you're not getting your way, or is it because you're tired of the political governmental bullshit and you want to take control back from them? Because if that's not the reason, you're just playing into their game. And that's what I try to tell people when they start yelling and cussing and just bashing their family and friends because they vote a certain way or act a certain way or do a certain thing. Is you're playing into not just the media, but you're playing into the media, the government, everything's playbook. You're just a pawn. You're doing exactly what they want you to do, which is taking the attention off of them and putting it on the people.
Well, you're so blinded by your quote unquote political party that you back that you don't come to the realization you are a sheep too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really sad because it's a tool that is used, because if you can turn people against each other, they are too distracted to solve the problems that are actually hurting them.
Well, right, because and I do, bring a lot of personal things into this, but I mean, it's legitimate. I mean, I go through this, so why not bring it up? But
your experience is what you have to play off of.
In my family, I have a very liberal gay cousin who backed Biden and was very anti-Trump. And I have family that they support him, they love him on the government and political side, not his, relations with our executive orders or whatever with the, LGBTQ, but going off of, all of the other stuff, they are very, Trump. They show they support Trump. They shared me, stuff on Facebook and all of that. But they never bashed anyone who was for Biden or another political party, whereas he would constantly bash Trump supporters. When you do y'all go whatever, but when I would get on there and I'd say, okay, but you're playing into this because you're on here chewing their asses out for supporting him. You're playing into that. You're playing into that. So the social media. You're playing into the media. You're playing into the government. You're doing exactly what they want you to do because you're not researching any other form of government. Your basic so my whole deal is your civil war is between your parties. You're Republican and you're Democrat. That's your civil war, and that is so stupid.
Well,
if you're thinking civil war because Democrats won and you're a Republican, you're a dumbass. I don't care. Hate me, like me, whatever. You are. Your civil war should be you taking, because that's literally what civil war means. You taking control back from the government.
Well, I mean, I've only heard the Civil War thing so far come from alt-right racists, mostly because they're mad that queer people and black people might get rights back.
Well, no, and you're right. You're absolutely right, because that's all I've heard it from. Now, my cousin, who's very, is liberal and very anti-Trump, he wasn't talking about Civil War. He was talking just, calling them racist, and they're very far from racist. He's calling them, all these names, which is like they're completely not. But you're jumping on them.
He's so cute. He's snoring.
You jump on them, and which, again, you do you want to jump on them, that's your right.
Well, and I don't know. I see where he's coming from because I have also been the angry queer, but do I think that everyone who is pro-Trump is inherently racist? No. Do I think there is a chance they more than likely are? Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I could see it both ways, but I think the fact remains that nothing's going to change. We're so sheeped on red versus blue,
yes,
Democrat versus Republican,
yes,
and nothing's ever going to change. Ever.
No.
We're going to be stuck in a two-party system with a bunch of rich people talking out their ass about what they're going to do to fix things, and then it's never going to get any better.
That is very pessimistic. I think that is very pessimistic, and I think it might be your generation talking.
So you think Biden's going to change things?
No.
Okay.
Because he's fucking 80.
Well, no,
not a damn thing's going to change if we keep getting old people in there. He
has literally spent 45 years in government and not done a damn thing to help.
No. Yeah.
You somehow think that getting a person of the age of 45 or around there, because that's the age you are required to be to become president.
Which is also stupid in my opinion. But
so somehow they're going to get in there and then just clean up all this stuff.
I think with the progress that we have made in the last 100 and so years with, people of color finally having a voice and queer people finally having a voice, we will be able to get somewhere. It is 2020. Trans people have existed for forever, and we are just now seeing them in politics. So I think we are going forward.
And I will tell you this. They give only what they want to give in order to not be overthrown.
Because you have to understand, if someone of color or someone of the LGBTQ community comes up and says, I want to, draws up this bill and everything, and they, present it and they do a vote and it fails, and the Democrat or whoever, whatever party comes up and says, we'll add this, and then someone else add this, and someone else comes add this, and you're adding other things that's essentially nulling and voiding your original reason for the bill, because people come up and say, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Well, you can only scratch so many backs.
Right. And I'll say this. What was this person's name? Who's the trans that got into Congress?
I know her first name, that's Sarah. I don't remember her last name.
I'm going to look her up, and we'll check in on her. 2 years from now, when the election happens, we'll take a look at her voting history and voting record, and then we'll compare it 4 years from now.
You know she can only do so much.
No.
I just want to see, once they get into the Congress, what changes.
I guess that's fair.
Well,
I think we underestimate the outside influences of people on these Congress people.
Oh, not at all. I feel like you're underestimating what generations of people can do, because it was a fight to get rights for Black people. We are still fighting to get rights for Native Americans, and we are still fighting to get rights for queer people.
I agree with you 100%. And I point to the fact that it's been how many years and we're still fighting for rights for Black people?
But
I'm just saying,
that is still a lot further than them just never having rights, because the way you're talking,
the way I'm talking
sounds like we're going to be at a standstill.
The way
forever.
I'm talking is realistic. It's a slow give. A slow give.
So you're talking within people's lifetimes.
In order to pacify people to not go any further. That's exactly what's happening. Look at history. I know you're not a history buff, but go back and view. They'll give a little, then they'll give a little more, and they'll give a little. It'll never come out and automatically just stamp it. Done.
And that little goes a long way.
Sure, I don't disagree. So you're taking my point and you're stretching it around.
It sounds so pessimistic. It sounds so fucking pessimistic.
There's no pessimism about it. I'm a realist. I can view history. I can see exactly how the government plays this game. They give a little, give a little, give a little. And then they take back. Like what happened with Trump. There's always a taker, and I bet you if you look back through history, every 4 to 8 years, when it switches back over between parties, stuff is given and stuff is taken back, and stuff is given and stuff is taken back.
Well, because that's what they run on, right? I'm going to take this away that he gave. I'm going to do this that he did, and then you spend the first 2 to 4 years undoing what the president before you did.
And
just to make a point.
Eventually, yes, it will get there. But we need to be realistic. It's not happening anytime soon unless we stand up as a populace and fight the government.
That's the part you didn't say, so.
Well, I was making my point. They're not going to just give. They will never just give.
If they give, they're giving their money away, and they're never going to give their money away.
That's the point of this. They made this government, this two-party system, to hold power and keep the people down. That's how it's made, and that's what they've been doing. Because even in Bill Clinton, people will rave about Bill Clinton and what a great Democratic president he was and all the good he did for us. And then you look at the history and, he made ICE and started arresting illegal immigrants and deporting their asses and separating the kids from the parents and locking them in cages. Wait, no, he didn't. Yes, he did.
Well, no, I don't. The kind of people you're talking about are not people I like to associate with, because I won't go for anyone that's just like Obama was 100% good either, because holy shit, we drop bombs on kids, y'all. Let's be aware of what our presidents are doing, regardless of their faction.
And which president deported the most illegal immigrants in the history of the United States? Anyone?
I don't fucking know that.
Anyone? Obama. And then look at all the shit Trump did. All the rights of gay people just stripped away in the dark. Not voted by Congress, just executive orders written out. Look at Bush. Everybody assumes he wanted to finish Daddy's war. There were no evidence of nuclear weapons in Iraq. None. And we went to war with Iraq after 9/11 when it was Afghanistan that was holding the terrorists.
No, that was my whole issue with because I didn't agree with that either. Because my whole point was if Afghanistan did it, then why are we not in Afghanistan fighting instead of in Iraq when Iraq had nothing to do with it? And they wanted to come out and say, well, Saddam Hussein supported Osama bin Laden, and whether he did or didn't is moot. You couldn't prove he did or didn't.
We could have went to Iraq after the fact.
Right, you could have done that. But was he a tyrant? Was he killing innocent people? Yes, but that's his country. And
so was Kim Jong-un or whoever the North Korean guy is.
His people can stand up and do the Civil War thing.
And we ain't ever attacked him.
We are at a standstill when it comes to world wars like that, because now we have things called nukes and we don't have enough funding to science to study nuclear warfare further. So...
Oh, I'm not going to look it up, but there was a news article came out that we just had our first ever completed test of a defensive attack against a nuclear, quote-unquote, nuclear weapon that was shot off against us, and the defensive rocket was shot from space and actually blew the rocket up in the air.
Yeah!
So
that's badass.
It's moving forward.
Fuck yeah, science.
But anyways, back to the fact that our political system is never going to change.
I wanted to talk about Christmas and how it's a consumerist holiday.
Well, then talk about it.
It's just like every other holiday. They've taken a holiday that's a genuine holiday to spend time and, with your family and everything, and turn it into
Christian paganism and money.
Sheep the populace with sales.
Do you think that Christianity took paganism and tried to make it civil?
They tried to make it theirs.
Okay.
And yes, by their standards would be quote unquote civil, but I mean, it's what lets them...
Sure.
If you can cover up the fact that paganism exists and make your religion the only religion,
we can bless water in order to baptize you.
But magic isn't real, and witchcraft is a sin.
We can bless this wine as the blood of Christ. We can bless this bread as the body of Christ. We can bless this ash on Ash Wednesday to put on your little forehead to do whatever the fuck that did.
But it's not witchcraft.
So my whole deal, and I've even told my mother, who is very Christian, because she's very anti-witchcraft and paganism and all of that, if there's no such thing as witchcraft or magic, how did Jesus walk on water? How did he change water into wine? And how did he make a blind person see? Like, how could he do all these quote-unquote miracles?
You
want to call them miracles because you don't want to call it magic or witchcraft.
It's faith. Only the Lord can do it.
I mean, just because you don't want it to be real doesn't mean it doesn't actually exist. I mean...
Same shit, different name. Here we go with that again.
Just like, there's white and dark to everything. Just like with religion, there's white religion and dark religion. I mean... And just like with witchcraft, you have dark magic, light magic.
Sure,
it's all in the person and how they're going to use it. So, does it exist? I think so.
I think we're really good at convincing ourselves things will work, and that's why the placebo effect is so powerful.
Well, right. Well, your body is going to do whatever it can do to survive and help you and not feel pain.
But I also think we're fucking manifest energy because we literally came from a giant boom, so... I mean, you know...
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for jamming with us.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Hanukkah, whatever the fuck you're celebrating, even the weird-ass spaghetti monster cults. Have a safe holiday.
Definitely check us out up Snapface. Next episode, we're going to go ahead and do our predictions for 2021. How fucked up will that year be? Find out. We'll see you next time. Bye.